Hello and welcome to Photoshop tutorial part 2. Today we're going to be looking at the lasso tool again and a few more functions to make your life a little bit easier, as well as the whole idea about the foreground, midground, and background in Photoshop, so you can crop things into other places and give yourself some more flexibility. So let's get started. This is Lily again from part 1, my dog, and so using her because I know that I've got copyright over her image, that's for sure. So what I've already got the dog trimmed out, and so I'm just going to copy her, and then we want to put her somewhere. So let's go find something to put her into. So I'm going to just go to browser, and we're going to put her into a convertible. So I'm going to go convert, and I know I'm going to spell it wrong, bull, because when I click in convertible, I actually get the shot that I want. So first things first, when you're looking at a browser and you go to Google Images to look for a convertible, say I look at this one and it is 618 pixels wide by 336 pixels high. You know, that's not very high in resolution. I wouldn't want to work with that in Photoshop. It's okay for like on the internet, but they want stuff to be small on the internet because it's easier to transfer. So what we can do is we just want to look for high resolution images. So I'm going to go to Tools and look for just large images. If I were to look for small ones, then you would see here, these are like 64 pixels, 48 pixels, 256 by 256. If I go to large, there we go, and then we get ones that are just above 1024 by 768. So that you get in some real nice high res ones. Now the one I think I'm going to work with is this guy right over here. Nice red convertible. I'm going to take a look at the nice high resolution image, and I'm going to copy it. So let's just copy it that way and then go back to Photoshop. So let's make a new document. Go File and New, and Photoshop is such a smart program that it says, hey, wait a second, you've just copied an image that's 1200 pixels wide by 766 pixels high. Do you want to make your new document and that size? And we say, yes, we do. And that way, when you get a blank document, that's the perfect size, and you can just paste it in, and now your document is the size of the image that you want. So let's go copy the dog again. We're gonna just go edit and copy, or Control C. Head back to here, and again she's going to be quite huge because the image that we took her from was, I think, about 3,500 pixels wide. No, sorry, 5,000 pixels wide by 3,500 pixels deep, and this one was far less. So we're putting a high resolution image into like about a medium resolution image. So let's make her smaller. We're going to go Edit and Free Transform. And there should be nothing new. We did this in the last one. And I'm going to shrink it down. And we could make her thin. We can make her fat. But in order to make it perfectly scalable here, then we just hold down the Shift key. And so we can hold down the Shift key to keep it proportional. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. Or if I hold down the Alt key, then it shrinks from from the middle. Let's go say about here. That's going to work for now. Okay. And then either double click or hit enter in order to activate your transformation. Now I could just have her here, and then we could just use our lasso tool and just kind of crop her out. But that's not the way I want to do it. That's not very flexible. That doesn't really help us out a whole lot. So what I'm going to do first is that I'm actually going to copy a piece of the car. And let's zoom in a little bit. And let's just start using some other tools in order to do that. Up until now, I've told you just take the regular lasso tool and just kind of crop it like that, and you can crop the nice round mirror like that. But we have some other tools to our advantage. We can go to Polygonal Lasso tool, which is just straight lines. So I go click, 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 and I double click to close it. and it just does straight lines. That's really helpful. I'm going to hold down the Shift key to add to my selection because I want to do a lot of straight lines here. So let's move that over, click, and then click, click, and then click to join that. And then now another tool that we can use is the magnetic lasso tool. That works really good when you're trying to select high areas of contrast. So if I wanted to select out this back seat, that would work really well. It would kind of stick to that edge right there because it's an area of contrast. Won't work as good here, but we're going to do it anyways. I'm just going to be kind of careful as I draw. And then it probably won't work very well down here. There we go. It only worked okay, but you can see here it didn't go around here because this color here was too close to that color there. I'm going to just go back to my Polygonal Lasso tool and just kind of just do this a little bit more here. Polygonal Lasso tool is good for quick down and dirty selections. And like this, I just want to add a little bit more, click, click, double click, and you get a little bit more. That's helpful. So I'm just going to go and edit and copy and paste that back down. And what that does is that I've pasted this, what I just selected, back down. I'll hide this so you can see I pasted this back down into its own layer. So what that means is that I can take the dog here. I'm going to show the dog now. Put the dog in behind the door and the window, and so it looks like the dog is in the car. And then so when I show this layer, because that's perfectly lined up, you get a little bit more flexibility because if I hold down click the move tool here, because now I can move the dog down around in order to, and you can see how she's kind of creeping out here, move it around a little bit so I have a little bit of flexibility here. I'll fix that up in a bit. But first, what I want to do is I want to chop out the window, but I'm not going to chop it out. I'm going to do something different. So let's zoom in. And again, I got this grid here. Let's get rid of that view, show, and then hide the pixel grid there. That's annoying. And Polygonal Lasso tool works good, like I said, for down and dirty and straight lines. Now I realize that there's other ways to do this. We could use the pen tool. We could use the magic wand. But you know, using these tools I think works best for people who are just learning Photoshop. I think if I were to teach the pen tool with somebody who's just learning Photoshop, it might make their minds explode. So here we go. We're going to go and double click to close that. Click, click, click. And here's a little trick here. I'll zoom in here. I'm just going to use the regular lasso tool. If I were to draw this arc, just going to draw that arc right there. And then I'll just let go. And then when the two endpoints join each other, hey, it made a straight line. Oh, it did. It shifted on me, but it did. So let's take a look at what we did. Now, I'm going to make sure I've got this layer selected. I'm going to cut this. I'm not going to delete it. I'm going to cut it, or Control X or Command X. And then I'm going to paste it back down in its own layer. And why am I doing this? Well, let's line this up and I'll show you. I'm going to put that back down in the same spot. Let's zoom in. I'm just going to inch that. Whoa. I got like one of those smart mouses that's just way too sensitive. So I put it back in the same spot. Let's back up. Control or Command minus to back up a couple of notches. Keep on going. My computer's a little slow. And so what I'm going to do, actually Command 0 also brings you right out. So what I'm going to do now is I've got this windshield here back, and you can see how it's there, and when I click hide, it hides it. Let's make this window semi-transparent. And what we can do is if I go to this little area right here, this is the opacity. When something is opaque, it means that you can't see through it. If something is semi-transparent, you can sort of see it through it. So I'm going to adjust my opaqueness or my opacity, And I'm going to, instead of making it 100, let's make it, let's try 50. And so now you can kind of see the dog kind of halfway through. And so like there's nothing, and then a little bit more, a little bit more. And so that, like, not that this looks realistic at all, but it starts to add to the illusion. So I'm just going to go back now. I'm going to click on the dog layer, and then I'm going to go edit and free transform. And I'm just going to adjust the dog a little bit. It's got to get rid of that toe there. Just make it look like it's, just shrink it down just a little bit so it looks like it's there. Okay, so there. I think we're good for now. So if you take one thing away from this tutorial, or a couple things I want you to learn, it's the lasso tool. We've got the regular lasso tool, but we've got the polygonal and the magnetic lasso tool. But then also you've got different layers in terms of, you've got your foreground layer, and then you've got your midground, and then you got your background. And that way, that gives you some flexibility. And I know I could have done this with masks, but this is a great way to teach beginners. So thanks very much, and good luck.